Hello, good evening, and welcome. I'm John Lazarus with Stories Matter and D&E Publishing. I'd like to start off by apologizing for the sound, but I just moved into a new apartment and they told me the last AC started a fire that suffocated the previous tenants, so we're just on pedestal fans here. Fortunately, it does cover up the sound of incessant lovemaking and street crime in my new neighborhood. Today's video is about one of the cornerstone rules of being a writer: not being a dumbass. Your objective shouldn't be utilizing all of these literary devices in your writing, but rather knowing what these are so you don't get humiliated by literary agents, publishers, and nerds at book readings. I understand, however, that all writers are different. If you became a writer because horrible childhood asthma and socially maladjusted parents developed your love for literature at a young age, you might not need this video at all. But for all other writers, those in it to make some easy cash, or woo lonely-hearted strange, or to spite their friends who doubted them, think of this video as your cheat sheet. You won't not be happy to know what litotes are on this edition of Stories Matter. Today's video is brought to you by Roget's Thesaurus. Feeling boorish, uncultured, or dunsical? Prone to dodoism? Questing for a vernacular seminative? Select Roget's, an immaculate congiary to distribute to acquaintances or the selcouth. Roget's is the most opportune instrument for rectifying these deficiencies. Visit roget's.com for a gratis demonstration. Number 1. Allegory. Allegory is a type of narrative that uses plot and characters to depict abstract things and ideas. George Orwell's Animal Farm is an allegory about Stalin's rise to power in the Soviet Union, which you might not have realized if you'd never read any other books before. My family drama, The Life We Have, is, on its surface, a story of mistrust and infidelity leading to a crumbling marriage, but it's actually an allegory for the dangers of fracking. Number 2. Allusion. Allusion is a reference to a person, place, thing, concept, or other literary work that a reader is likely to recognize. Writers often allude to things from different mythologies, religious texts, and historical events. See if you can catch the allusions in these two excerpts. The two knitting women increase his anxiety by gazing at him and all the other sailors with knowing unconcern. Their eerie looks suggest that they know what will happen, the men dying, yet don't care. From Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. Missing that free throw was my personal 9/11. From my romance novel, Above the Rim. Number 3. Anaphora. Anaphora is the repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of a series of clauses or sentences. This one is more common in speeches and poems to provoke a strong emotional reaction. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech might be the most famous example. I don't use this in my fiction because I find it contrived, but here's a quick example I wrote for the Jacksonville Board of Tourism when I needed some extra cash. Jacksonville, a place for those seeking mystery and wonder. Jacksonville, a place for those who don't mind swamp heat and the occasional hurricane. Jacksonville, a place for those seeking easier schools and not that much violent crime. Number 4. Chiasmus. Chiasmus is when two or more parallel clauses are inverted. This is a great one if you think your reader is getting bored and needs something to confuse them slightly so they'll pay more attention. You forget what you want to remember, and you remember what you want to forget. From The Road by Cormac McCarthy. She was the girlfriend I loved to hate, and the mother I hated to love. From my novel, Ronald, Portrait of a Mother Lover. Number 5. Hyperbaton. Hyperbaton is the inversion of words, phrases, or clauses in a sentence that differs from how they would normally be arranged. Often the object of a clause is put in front of the subject. The most famous example of this is probably everyone's favorite short-haired, big-eared, wrinkled, elderly ball of wisdom. Of course, I'm talking about Saul Cohen, the friendly Jewish jeweler from my Jewish children's book, Shanda Amanda. Number 6. Disauralism. Disauralism is the sequence of words that don't sound the way they look. For example, Colonel Yacht from Leicester sat in the queue after his indictment. Number 7. Malapropism. A malapropism is when similar sounding words replace their appropriate counterparts. This is often used as a joke, or at least you can pretend it's a joke to save your ass when your editor asks what you meant when you described a character as an scapegoat, or have them say, not to look a dead whore in the mouth. Number 8. Polysyndenton. Instead of using a single conjunction in lengthy statements, Polysyndenton uses several in succession for a dramatic effect. Here's an example from my 2003 drama, Minge. Sure, Minge didn't have a dime to her name, and it often took her twice as long to learn new skills as other people, and nobody had ever described her as charismatic or even noticed her existence, and she certainly wasn't very pleasant to look at, what with her crooked teeth and horrible burn scars, and she also wasn't even very friendly or funny to make up for any of that, but she wasn't going to let any of that get in her way. Number 9. Tmesis. This is when a word or phrase is broken up by an interjecting word. This is often used with curses and exclamations like, Jesus fucking Christ, or holy cunt grabbing smokes. Number 10. Frame story. A frame story is any part of the story that frames another part of it. In The Princess Bride, it's the grandfather reading the story to his grandson. In my story, The Ballad of David Burgess, it's the drunks in the pub trying to piece together the night before to save their friend from bestiality charges. Number 11. Hypophora. Hypophora is much like a rhetorical question, wherein someone asks a question that doesn't require an answer. However, in Hypophora, the person raises a question and answers it immediately themselves. Here's Myron Updike from Spilled Milk reasoning with himself. If I kill these killers, am I any better than they are? Of course I am. They're evil and I'm not. Number 12. Zeugma. Zeugma is when one word is used to ascribe two separate meanings to two other words. For example, Charlotte Hornets forward Miles Bridges beat the Washington Wizards and the domestic assault charges this past week. Before we end today's video, I'd like to share one fun fact. One of the terms from today's video was completely made up. The first person to identify it correctly in the comments will get a signed headshot, so long as you email me your home address. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll leave you with this week's This Day in Literary History. See you on the next one.